Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the ever-evolving hot topic of Bitcoin, the futuristic digital cryptocurrency that's currently changing the way people trade wealth. And, in a lot of ways, it's changing the world too. If you're new to the channel or new to Bitcoin, here's a quick recap. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency and a worldwide payment system. It is the first decentralized digital currency, kind of like the dollar but online. Bitcoin uses an online system that works without a central bank or administrators. It's all done by a network of computers that trade around a digital code that's encrypted, hence the name cryptocurrency. I've done a couple of Bitcoin videos over the last 6 months, so I'm a little bit familiar with it. I highly recommend checking out my What is Bitcoin video, which goes over the basics more extensively if you're interested. Link to that below if you'd like that background information. But for today we've got two new breaking developments in Bitcoin. First, a recent article from Fortune.com has revealed a pretty interesting bit of Bitcoin news. The St. Louis Federal Reserve says Bitcoin is like a regular currency, and that's a pretty huge endorsement, especially coming from the federal government. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a pretty hard, complex thing for most normie people to wrap their heads around. So them seeing a vote of confidence like this could really bring this digital currency revolution to the mainstream. And secondly, for today, Bitcoin's value is on the rise once again this month. Even after a correction from the end of April, Bitcoin has still gone up 33% since April 1st, almost reaching the $10,000 milestone once again, like back in December. So with all that said, today we're going to go over these Bitcoin stories with our expert and guest, Colin from NobleBitcoin.com, who's also been kind enough to sponsor today's video. Colin and Noble Bitcoin know everything there is to know about Bitcoin, cryptos, investments, and more, so let's go ahead and bring him in and dive into the story. Colin, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brooks. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We've got this announcement from the St. Louis Fed saying Bitcoin's like a regular currency. What are your initial reactions and thoughts on that?
I think it's shocking because typically the Fed doesn't want to acknowledge any type of currency besides the dollar as being a major currency of the world. So I think for them to say that this is something that people can trade and barter with and that it's acceptable is really opening doors. I think more and more people are realizing that cryptocurrencies and that technology is accessible, that it's something that's going to be here for a long time. And I think the Fed acknowledging that is basically saying that this is a currency that that they're going to be looking at, and that a lot of people, consumers, are going to be using. Companies are already using it. A lot of people aren't aware. There's like almost 700 companies that accept Bitcoin. Overstock.com is probably the largest. They're the second largest retailer in the U.S. They accept Bitcoin. Expedia. So it's here to stay, and I think that's something that I was surprised that they acknowledged.
I think, this validation will kind of move things forward. People hearing this coming from the Federal Reserve, a federal institution, will really give it a lot of weight. And I think it can go further into the mainstream. It's exciting, like you were saying, about Overstock.com and other websites starting to accept it. I've heard about a lot of stores accepting it, and people using their apps and their Bitcoin things. Do you think that's going to keep going further? Like how do you think this is going to move forward? More companies? Are we going to get to a point where everyone has a Bitcoin, like a debit machine?
Absolutely. And I think when people really think about it and they've done it, like myself, I bought products on many different websites. I booked a trip on Expedia with Bitcoin, and it was exactly like using a credit card. So, I think the ease of using it is there. The websites are making it much more easy to use. There's going to be apps that are going to make it even easier to use. It's a currency. It's something that can be used. You're using your credit card in a similar way. You have to put the numbers into the credit card. You have to put your numbers in for the Bitcoin to make a transaction, and that's exactly what I did. So when I was able to use and buy so many things on it, and I felt that it wasn't something that was really difficult to use, that just opens it up, I think, to the world. I think more of the world are going to use it. And my prediction is in the next 2 to 3 years that some small country will make Bitcoin their currency, because a lot of these countries have so much volatility in their currencies, like Venezuela. They have all these hyperinflation situations. So my prediction is eventually one of these countries, probably an African country, will make it their currency, and it'll be so much better than allowing their dictator or their authoritarian government to control their currency. It'll be out in the free market, and they won't be manipulated like a lot of these countries are, where they have these corrupt governments and they create inflation. So I think one of these countries will eventually adopt it.
Yeah, I could see that, and I think that's a very interesting prediction. Like if a country picked it up, almost like these different websites are picking up Bitcoin,
Yep.
just could go even bigger, and then multiple countries could get on board. I could see it just progressing even further. That's a good place to go to the next point anyway. Do you see Bitcoin continuing to rise? Like, what is there a ceiling on this? I know a lot of people see it going up and down.
Yeah, no, so I think in terms of your question, I think that where will the price go? Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows where the price of Bitcoin will go. I think the one thing that most investors hang their hat on is that it's the most universally accepted out of the cryptocurrencies, and there is a limited supply of them that will ever be there. There will only be 21 million Bitcoins ever. You compare that to other things that have a limited supply, how many dollars that are out there, how many ounces of gold that are out there. I mean, there's really just a limited supply of Bitcoin. And I think that's the beauty behind why the price will continue to go up, because as the mining slows down and the way that the technology is set up, it will slow down. And eventually, once we hit 2040, that's when the last Bitcoins will be mined. As we get closer to that date, more people are going to want to get their hands on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. As it gets to the point where there's no more available and more people are using it, more people are going to want to buy it. So you have this inflation-proof scenario, because there's going to be only a certain amount of them ever. There's more accessibility in the world. More people are trading and using it. So I think that the price will continue to go up. I think more people will be trading with it.
And I like the global aspect of Bitcoin as well, going all over the planet, and in between countries, in between different computers and stuff. I wanted to say, just as an aside, it really reminds me, I might have Star Wars on the brain. I was watching a few movies about, or reviews about the new Star Wars movie coming out, and it kind of reminds me of like credits, like how they have Star Wars credits.
Right.
I think that's like the currency. They just kind of say credits, yep. Galactic credits, yep. Or something. Yep. And I feel like, honestly, as a joke, but in a serious vein as well, like these are almost like credits, because it's like digital, it's over the galaxy or over our planet. So it is kind of like a step towards the future.
Yeah, and I think the idea that we're going to be having cash, it's becoming a cashless society anyway. So it's not like there's this need for money. Almost everywhere you go, they accept some type of credit card or ATM or something. So it's not unrealistic that people aren't using cash anymore, that they're just deciding, maybe they pull out their wallet and they have, a card for Bitcoin, and then they have their dollars, and they decide which one they want to use to buy those goods. So
it's definitely moving forward. Definitely, just good signs all around, the rise, and then the approval validation from the Federal Reserve. Let's talk to the next step. Like, if let's say people watching or someone wants to get involved, get some Bitcoin, what's usually like the first step? What would you recommend for some like introduction, people that haven't had any digital cryptos before?
Yeah, the first thing I would do is our investment guide, our Noble Bitcoin investment guide, it has a section that just breaks down the major currencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. So it'll talk about them, the history, and really how they started. So if someone's just looking for a beginner's guide, that's a good place to start. And really what we do is we help investors that want to put cryptocurrencies in their IRA. So if you had any kind of IRA, a traditional, a Roth, if you're self-employed, you have a SEP IRA, and maybe you're concerned about the stock market, you want to get out of there, and you're looking for something new, you can roll it with us into cryptocurrency, into Bitcoin, and you can put that in your IRA. And doing it in the IRA keeps more money in your pocket to make more and grow more. And that's the real benefit of it. We also help people outside of the IRA that need help, that just aren't computer savvy, that just, they want us helping buying it. So we can do that too. But the majority of people are doing it within an IRA with us, which is really easy. It's really streamlined. We take care of all the paperwork.
Cool. Yeah, I just see that as it's like having a great ally. Myself personally, like, you would want that guide, you want that help, and make sure you're doing everything right.
We also have an Ethereum guide, similar. It might be a good add-on to the Bitcoin guide. So if someone calls in and they want that guide too, we'd be happy to send that. Ethereum was put together by a lot of early Bitcoin adopters, and when it was brought out, the technology behind it was close to $20 million they put into the actual algorithm and the code. So that's a really sophisticated cryptocurrency. And so that's also eligible for the IRA. So a lot of people are kind of hanging their hat on that one, and they may want to learn about that one. So that guide's also available. So if they call in, mention your show, we'll make sure we get both of those.
Yeah, that's great. And I think from my understanding, I don't know as much about Ethereum, but I am aware there's just Bitcoin's not the only cryptocurrency. There's a number of other ones. There's actually, I think, hundreds of other ones trying to compete right now. And I've heard about Ethereum too, and that's one of the I would say like the second or third, one of the other top ones besides Bitcoin, if I'm correct.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and it may be a loose analogy, but a lot of people say that Bitcoin is similar to gold, and then Ethereum is similar to silver, because the uses for like silver, there's so many more uses for Ethereum than there is for Bitcoin. Cool. So I think that when you dive in, you look at that, and we list some of the most popular uses for Ethereum that are out there, and the blockchain technology. So I think it's going to be an eye-opener. It's funny, you think it's mostly younger people, and I was out to dinner with a friend, and his grandma I think she was 92, and she pulled me aside and she said, "What is this Bitcoin?" And I thought it was so funny, because you sort of just think that there's a certain group of people that would be interested, but it's really everybody. It's really caught the attention of the world.
Yeah, and it's getting widespread now. It's getting out
there. Absolutely. So I think if this young 92-year-old is interested in it, then I think everybody out there is probably going to be interested in it. And so we're happy to help, and feel free to call in. We're happy to answer any questions that we can.
And that about wraps things up on today's Bitcoin stories. Make sure you guys check out our guest and sponsor, noblebitcoin.com. Colin and his company do some really great, amazing work out there, and they're definitely the best place to go if you need help buying, selling, or investing, and making plans for your family's future. I highly recommend you check out their links below if you're interested. What do you guys think about today's stories? Is Bitcoin on its way to become a more normalized currency? Will the market continue to rise and grow past $10,000 once again? Comment your thoughts on everything below. Thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.